So I have a puzzle for you. Let's say that you're driving down the thruway. So you get on the thruway at a stop, you get a ticket that says where you started and what time it is, and you drive for an hour and you get off the thruway 70 miles away. And the ticket taker happens to be a police officer. And he looks at your ticket and he says, wow, you drove 70 miles in 1 hour. Just a second. Here's a speeding ticket for you that says that you were driving 70 miles an hour. And you go to court and you stand before the judge and you say, you know what? The police officer never saw me driving 70 miles an hour. The police officer never caught me on a radar gun going 70 miles an hour. There's no evidence that I was ever going exactly 70 miles an hour like it says on this speeding ticket. So this ticket should be dismissed. And the question is, does the police officer have evidence that you drove exactly 70 miles an hour at some point on your trip? Well, unfortunately for you, the police officer who came to court and the judge both know calculus. And so they are going to school you on what we're going to talk about right now, which is the mean value theorem. So let's take a look at this graph. So this is a graph where the x is in terms of minutes and the y-axis is in terms of miles. And so you start off at 0 minutes and 0 miles, and we said you ended up at 60 minutes and 70 miles. And so the idea is, let's draw any kind of continuous graph. So we want to draw a continuous differential graph. So maybe even I spend a little time at a rest stop here. All right. So the mean value theorem says that if we think about this secant, the secant between the two endpoints, there must be some point along the graph that has a derivative, or the tangent has a slope that's equal to this secant. And it's a kind of obvious thing when you look at it like this. We can just kind of scale this graph down and we can say, oh yeah, just about there. That's a good spot. It's actually happening several times. So right around there, maybe again around here, maybe again around here. So there are all kinds of places where there is a spot where you drove exactly 70 miles an hour on this trip. And there's no way you could draw a different trip as long as it was a continuous graph and differentiable, which means that you weren't doing any really crazy, speeding down from 80 miles an hour to 0 over no time at all. So no matter how you draw this graph, there's going to be some tangent that's got that slope. And here's the mean value theorem in words. All right, so you're gonna, like I say, let f be continuous over some closed interval and differentiable over the open interval. Then there exists at least one point c in that open interval such that the derivative of f at c is equal to f of b minus f of a over b minus a, which is the slope connecting the two endpoints of the graph. All right, in the next video, we're going to take a look at how we're going to use this fact in order to spot problems when they come up on the AP exam, because they love asking questions about the mean value theorem, and they're usually pretty easy to spot. So we will take a look at those signs in the next video.